Welcome, everybody, to the Genesis Mindset. It seems like it's been so long. It actually has. It's been nearly 2 months since the pDAI conference. That was, yeah, what a profoundly epic moment in time. That ended up pretty, pretty much marking the top, or what could be considered the top of the cryptocurrency cycle. Who knows how it's going to be if we are in a bear cycle, if we are in a bull cycle still. I'm definitely on the fence. Nobody can predict these things. I think everybody who's been talking about super cycles, they're kind of the same, similar kinds of people who've been talking about super cycles in the last cycle as well. People like Raoul Pal was very bullish on a super cycle. In the last cycle, he was often saying things were going to continue to go, but the environment does look very different now. The macro environment does look very different. So I'm remaining optimistic. Bitcoin is holding where it is at the moment, but at the end of the day, the most important thing is I'm here for the long run. I don't really want to be using my bank, and I consider my DeFi, my Atropa ecosystem, my PulseChain ecosystem as my future bank. So, yes, if this is the end of the bull market, it kind of sucks. We didn't really get the kind of profits we were hoping for. But if my mindset is long term, then what does it matter anyway? Because my mind is on the future, on the things that I want to do on the future. So all this stuff that happens in between, it's really meaningless, to be honest. So I'm not in any rush to do anything with any of that money. Even if I did make seven figures, I wouldn't be in any rush to be doing anything with that money anyway. I would just be parking it and generating yield. So for me, it really makes no difference whatsoever. So in this particular episode, I won't be looking at those sorts of things because there's enough information out there. But what I do want to be looking at is I want to have a look at the Atropa updates. I'm going to show you some of the things that Maria's been doing on the Ethereum side for quite some time. Also, just going into the evidence that I was exploring about the rug pull that Maria apparently performed. So I want to just go into some details there. And then obviously the general state of PulseChain, and really a time for reflection. This is really an important time for reflection and what all of this means in the context of where we are in the cycles. So with that, let's get into the charts. Everyone's upset, everybody's sad. And I have to say, across the timeline, I think possibly the people who are most upset, I'm kind of seems more like people who are holding only cores. That's what it seems like to me. So PulseChain made new all-time lows. Nobody was anticipating this. Nobody was expecting this. Everybody was hoping, myself included, that we were going to exit a bull market or heading into the end of the bull market and we'd start to get some nice little run like this. But obviously, we haven't had that. If this is the end of the bull market, we've made new all-time lows. Now, do I consider PulseChain a failure because of that? No, not at all. I still look at all the different pieces of the puzzle that are forming around all of PulseChain, and I'm still very, very bullish on the total outlook of PulseChain. Everything that's happened before then, well, it's okay. I think that, like I said, the people who seem to me to be the most upset are the ones who are holding mostly just core coins and were thinking that everything was going to be a repeat of Hex, and it wasn't. And hey, look, we had our big weeks, we had our good runs, we had our wild rides, but guess what? The market dumped the shit out of it. We had our good runs, but guess what? The market dumped the shit out of it. So unfortunately, people create those charts. This is a reflection of the psychology of PulseChain and the PulseChain core coin holders. So what can you say? So things have pumped today, but I'm not getting too excited. I'm just going to try to maintain a state of equanimity and just see where it goes in a year from now. So having a look at PulseChain to Atropa, I mean, as bad as as bad as PulseChain has been doing, it's actually been stronger against Atropa, which is quite funny. But when you look at the whole, I mean, yeah, everything with Atropa has just really been going down. But when you look at the whole outlook of the Atropa ecosystem, you look at everything that's been going on, you look at everything that's been going on PulseChain, yeah, a lot of people's attention, a lot of people's energy has been really just been getting sucked out of them by everything that's happened on the blockchain. So it does look like it's continuing to still trend in the Atropa direction overall, but against PulseChain just recently, very recently, since June, July. I mean, everything since June, July has really kind of sucked. And now we're almost at the end of the year. So let's see how this goes. But it does look like potentially it's going to continue to trend down, and things maybe are going to be picking up in some way, shape, or form over the next few months. But yeah, I'm not holding my breath. But the main point is, the main thing that we really have to correct in our minds, and myself in, well, not myself included, because I don't have anything to purchase with, but if I was buying it here, and 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 I was buying it here, why aren't I buying it here? Well, the reason why I'm not buying it here, if I'm not buying it here, is because I have a short-term mindset. It's because I wanted the quick gains, the fast gains, and I wanted in and out, and I wanted to go spend it on whatever I wanted to spend it on. And then I would have this sense that I've achieved something in my life, that I've accomplished something. But that's a meaningless, empty accomplishment, and it will fade into dust. It will fade into nothingness. Alexander the Great, the Macedonian, the first human being on the planet to conquer the known world, died empty-handed. He told the people to bury me with my hands out of the grave, so that out of the coffin, so that people can see the man who won the world died empty-handed. So we have these eternally existing principles that materialism means nothing. And when I look at everything that's happened on PulseChain, and I look at the vibe of people and the general sentiment and the attitude, it doesn't seem to me like they have the long-term mindset. It doesn't seem to me like they have any interest in the overall success in PulseChain and decentralized finance and true decentralized finance. It seems to me like they're more interested in short-term gains so that they can buy stuff for themselves and feel some sort of sense of false happiness, which will just fade into nothingness. These people buy the cars and it's great for about a week, and then it's like, okay, well, this is just another car. It's all meaningless. It gets nowhere. The real meaning, the real truth is what you do for the world, what you can actually do for the true family, which is everybody in existence. But a lot of people don't really have that consciousness. So for me, I have that consciousness and I have no issues with where the prices are. But at the end of the day, that is the thing that to me is most important. So what I see now is a lot of reflection of pain, but it's all because of a short-term outlook. None of this has really bothered me whatsoever. I've just been watching it, observing it, and the only thing that's bothered me is the amount of vitriol and vile and negativity that I'm seeing across the timeline to each other, to each other. That's what's really sad. Everybody's hurting, everybody's in pain, and then we're ripping on each other. People, you don't know people's situations, you don't know people's circumstances. People have made mistakes, they'll own it, that let them feel their pain, but we don't need to be rubbing salt in each other's wounds. It's not what you wouldn't be doing these things to your friends or family. Why are you doing it to somebody on the internet? You don't know them. You don't know what they're going through. You don't know the type of pain or the type of life that people have. So I'm not going to change anyone. It's impossible to. I've tried for the last 2 years. All I know is I'm going to keep talking the way that I talk, and I'll just attract the people that I attract. And I have to just accept that. And that's just the way that it is. So obviously, I'm not here to say the markets turn around. What I want to do is have a look at how things are looking after 2 months' time. So I'm looking at the Atropa ecosystem ratio. It was around the 7.5 range for a long time. Now it's very slowly started to trend its way down over time. But again, everything's really, really, really slowed down. Everything's really dramatically slowed down. I wanted to then see some of my thesis has played out in what would happen in a bear market. So before I look at that, we'll have just a quick look at pDAI. I mean, pDAI surprisingly has held up reasonably well. Some people are saying this is deliberate. I mean, you can take it whatever way that you want to. It's looking pretty good. It's looking pretty good, all things considered, compared to a lot of the other charts. I mean, everything's been kind of trending up slightly since November or middle of November, but pDAI is looking pretty good. I was expecting things to go lower. I see this pattern happen quite a lot in PulseChain, where you'll see a whip up and then it will look like we're about to run away, and then everything just starts dumping down because the sellers come in. So the people who are really looking for some short-term gain start to come in. So what I wanted to have a look at was this. So I wanted to see what would happen if we are in a bear market. One of my thesis that I had was that down would start to trend up against Atropa, but we haven't seen that. So that doesn't necessarily mean that we're not in a bear market. It just means that so far that thesis hasn't really proven to be correct. So I was anticipating that maybe we would get something like this where we would have some kind of like mega macro cycles with down and Atropa, and it would stay ranged within a certain range. But yeah, it hasn't really done that since really everything since the beginning of the year in Atropa has just been down and sideways. So this ratio here has just been basically going sideways from, ranging from basically 0.07 to 1. So it's kind of, 0.07 to 0.1. So really not much has happened in the way of this. But it'll be something that I continue to keep my eye on. So whether or not this means that people aren't seeing this as an opportunity or that the ratios aren't conducive of that, it just remains to be seen. So the other one that I wanted to look at was bullion and gold. Gold standard and bullion, just to see if anything was happening here. And I did notice this was quite interesting to me. I mean, it's not a huge amount, but again, since since the middle of the year, there's been a lot of action in this chart. So that's kind of when everything just started to go pretty shit for PulseChain in terms of price only. I wouldn't say anything else has gone shit. I've been watching, I've been getting excited. Liberty Swap, Railgun, Zero Trust, lots of cool things are happening everywhere. The community on Zero Trust is just awesome. Like such a cool tribe to be a part of. I really, really love it. So I'm going to be starting to cover more of their content and doing more content for that also. So Teddy Bear, another one, not looking great. Everything's looking, I mean, yeah, really nothing's looking great. So, and then we've got, so I want to have a look at against PulseChain. Is PulseChain powering against it? So that's on the daily. So yeah, this has been, I mean, certainly compared to Atropa. Let me go to the weekly. Okay, so this has been trending down for a bit. So again, it's really very similar. So yeah, against PulseChain, yeah, I mean, look, I feel sorry for the people who just hold the core coins, but if you were watching what was happening on the chain and you were seeing the opportunities, I mean, realistically, if I stayed in my sacrifice bags in just the core coins, I probably would I care? I think I would care. I think I would. So I do sympathize with them because I would have seen, I'd have less value than I sacrifice for. And that would totally suck. That would really totally suck, especially at the end of a bull market. But I'm quite sure that from what I rotated around, that I'm pretty much up on my sacrifice bags. I haven't calculated by how much, but just off the top of my head, I can pretty much know that I'm up on my sacrifice bags because, I mean, it's certainly a lot better than had I just held in the core coins. So, Fed, Treasury bill. Yeah, this kind of seems to be staying in this kind of consistent range here. So, yeah, these are the types of things that you'd probably want to be paying attention to because if you zoom into something like this, Fed, Treasury bill, I mean, these are the types of things that I would be doing. So if we were in a bear market, well, there's still opportunities to be made. The game for me is token count. So then I'd look at a ratio like this and go, all right, we're getting a bit of a range here. Maybe it's going to start to reverse here. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's going to keep going down. Maybe it's going to break this and keep going down. I have no idea, but you have a look at this. It goes up once, down once, twice. Normally, a range will break after 3. So we could say that potentially it could break here, or it will go here and then break, or it will just break here. Who knows? Or it might just keep going. And then it will break after the third one, because after the third one, first is like nothing. Second is a potential coincidence. Once you get 3, then you get an established pattern. And then after you get an established pattern of 3 in a range or a trend, generally it will break or change because otherwise it's too predictable and the market knows what to expect. So I would expect that there's potentially an opportunity here. So these are the types of things that I would be looking at. Again, liquidity providing. If you're in liquidity, like people like Bud and people like myself, then everything's just accumulating tokens. Okay, there's not a lot of volume, but that's okay. Long-term mindset, PulseChain itself is the bank. It's not just one token or this one's going to do a 10,000x. I've started to look at the totality of PulseChain as the banking system, as a decentralized financial system. I'm not looking at any one token or any one wallet as this is my bank account. I'm looking at the whole of PulseChain as a bank account, as a bank, but a decentralized financial bank, decentralized financial system. So now, some of the things that Maria has been cooking. Atropa on Ethereum. So Maria, this is now Atropa on Ethereum with Atropa. Hey, here's something quite interesting. When you look at this ratio, you would expect that they should be 1-to-1. And it was launched at 1-to-1. But for whatever reason, it has been dumped down. And potentially you could probably do some investigating on this to see who's dumped that down and how much have they dumped that down. And I mean, sugar, let's just very quickly do that right now. I do believe I have some of, what did I do here? Close that drawer. I've got, so just before we get into that, have I got, did I leave it? I didn't leave it open. The 414. Let's see if maybe it is the 414 wallet actually. So if it's not, you can always find Maria's 2501 wallet. Ah. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. So Maria done what Maria always done. So basically, hang on a minute. Let's zoom in on this. So yeah, Maria basically sold the top, and I don't know if it was, I want to see if it's his 2501 wallet. Let me just get his 2501 wallet. So this is another little cool little link. Let me get that. And let's bring this up here. So yeah, Maria basically sold the top. Nothing with the 2501. So I don't know who else sold this. So somebody sold very heavily. But this is another interesting ratio because it started at 1-to-1, which means that Maria wanted it to be 1-to-1. Now, I don't know what he's done on Ethereum, but I know that he's been doing some things. So I managed to find 3 tokens that he created with the 414 wallet. So he's created 1.11 million Atropa, and he also created MV, so 11,111 MV. There was another token which was called One with the UL symbol, the UNC symbol, the symbol that we've renowned with the Treasury system. I couldn't find that. I found that a while ago. And this was all when I was trying to do some investigating on the rugging that Maria did. So it pretty much is confirmed that Maria bridged out a whole bunch of value and bridged it to Robinhood. What happened in Robinhood? It's sitting there. I don't know. You can't really. I couldn't find it from there. I couldn't track it from there. I tried to track it. I went down the rabbit hole, tried to find, has he bridged out more than he brought in? And yes, he has bridged out more than he brought in. That's a fact. Or certainly with this wallet, you can't see through the 414 or the 2501 wallet if more value has been brought. Well, you can see with those wallets where the more value has been brought in than out. You can see clearly that more value has been bridged out than has been brought in. That's a clear thing. So I guess you can choose to look at it however you want. I choose to look at it like a dev paid himself, and whether or not he then paid it to do negative things like Lamborghinis and whatever, prostitutes and mansions. I don't think that would be the case. He did mention when he was doing this that he would buy a Atropa at a lower rate. So maybe he's got that sitting there in just stable coins and he's going to buy the bottom at some point. I have no idea. Nobody knows. Nobody knows what he's going to do. But again, I don't really think necessarily that there's no proof that it was malevolent, but there's no proof that it's benevolent either. So at the moment, it's just sitting there as it is. I would really hope that he brings some of it back into the blockchain because it was a substantial amount of value. But at the same time, I also am glad that he took that amount of value as well for the fact that this is a person who's been creating the system and working relentlessly. I think that there should be some reward for effort for that work. So, and I think that he's creating something that's completely unique. So that pretty much just sums it up. And obviously, I've kind of gone through the state of PulseChain already, and I really just hope that people start to take care of each other out there. Really think about it, not always from your own perspective. From your own perspective is it's not the right perspective. It's not founded in truth. If you cut your brain open, your thoughts are not there. There's nothing in there. It's not actually real. It's just an illusion. It's just a hallucination. This is the matrix. Everybody's in their own little matrix mind world, and it's not the truth. But have some compassion for other people as well. If if you are if you're hurting, I sympathize with you. I empathize with you. I know what that's like. I know what that's like. When I first came to Brisbane, I didn't come to Brisbane because I'd made it in crypto. I came to Brisbane because it was like the universe was directing me here, and I wanted to come here to run this meditation center. It was just like something in my heart was telling me the universe was nudging me in this direction. I'm going to do it. It just so happened to be that I was very comfortable in my crypto portfolio, but it was also in the bear market. So my crypto portfolio just kept going down, 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 down. So when you see a 7-figure portfolio turn into, oh boy, like almost, or if not a 5-figure portfolio, it was very devastating. Also, when you get a 5-figure tax bill. And I, at that time, was in so much pain. And I'm blaming the universe. I'm blaming the world. I'm blaming everybody. I blame Richard Hart. I blame Hex. I'm in all the group chats, spreading that negativity, spreading that toxicity in all the Facebook pages like Richard Hart, he effed up and this and that, and just blame, 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 blame. And then you know what? Where did that get me? Nowhere. It got me nowhere. It achieved nothing. It did nothing. I didn't take any action on that. All I did was just spew negativity and toxicity out into the world. But then I meditated. I reflected. I looked into my mind. I saw what was my mind when I was doing this. Well, I had an opportunity to sell the tops. I had those opportunities. My bag was 7 figures on my birthday. Why didn't I take any profit on my birthday? Because I was greedy. So who is there to blame? Myself. It was just myself, nobody else. I had opportunities. Even in PulseChain, there's been opportunities. It was 2 or 3x. It was 2 or 3x from sack rate. Everybody had opportunities to sell. There's been ample opportunities to sell. There's been 5x's, there's been 10x's, there's been 20x's everywhere along the blockchain. But why didn't we? The greed. Why did I end up putting all that money into it? What was I trying to do? Was I trying to be a hero? Was I trying to show off? Did I want to show the world? Did I want to prove to the world that I was better than I am? Was I trying to retire earlier and just be lazy and have lived this life? I had to really reflect on myself and see what was in my mind. And I really realized it's my fault. Everything is my fault. Everything is my fault. When you take that responsibility and transmute it into power, then you can actually start taking action, and then you can do something with your life instead of just complaining and spewing negativity. If that's how you are, if you have that negativity in your mind, it's okay. It's okay. We all have that pain. We've all been through that kind of pain, especially in crypto. Like this is just what crypto is all about. What's not okay is continuing to pour it out into the world and not realizing that it's all your fault, because it's all your fault. It's all your fault. You clicked the buttons. You pressed the buttons. Richard Hart didn't sit there and say, he didn't hold your hand and press that button for you. You press that button. He doesn't control the charts. The market controls the charts. You press that button. There's nobody else to blame but you. Once you really, truly realize that fundamentally, it's not even just it's like from a metaphysical perspective, when you actually realize what you have in your mind attracts into your life, what is in your mind, then you really truly realize everything is my fault. The reason why it happened like this is because of my fault. Everything is my fault. When you realize that, it's so liberating. It's so liberating. And then you can transform. Then your steps become filled with gratitude and happiness, and you can just live your life in that way. And so on that note, really, let's be kind to each other. If you feel that, let it out, but let it out within you and really reflect. And my doors are open. Well, not my DMs, because unless I follow you, otherwise I'd be inundated. But you can reply your pain on the things that I post. You're okay to do that, and I'll respond to you. But there's a particular degree of negativity where I'm just like, I'm not even going to respond to it. I'm not even going to waste my time, because I know that your mind's not going to change. I can see where your mind is at, and it's not ready to change. So I just ignore it. But if you really are hurting and you have something that you have a massive burden in your heart, and you're like, oh, I just want somebody to understand this level of pain that I'm going through. I made these decisions and I effed up, and I can't live with myself. Please reach out to me. Please. I will hear you. I will listen to you. There's going to be people out there that will hear you and listen to you. But if you just want to spew negativity for the sake of it, I don't have time for you. I don't have time for that. Life is too short to be taking on all your pain and suffering. It's way too much. I want to help you. I'll hold your hand. I'll guide you out of it if I can. But if you just want to be negative, there's no point. And so let's be kind to each other. The state of the whole crypto market has pretty much completely sucked besides Bitcoin. Yeah, there's been a few things that have run here and there, but XRP didn't break all-time highs. Ethereum didn't, Solana didn't. Like everything, yes, there's been things that have run. Yes, there have been things that have run hyperliquid and whatever, but on the whole, the altcoins have sucked. And so on the whole, it's been like that in PulseChain as well. But just like on the whole, there's been the anomalies, within PulseChain, there's also been the anomalies. If you bought Atropa at the bottom or pDAI at the bottom, you would be in profit still. So there's nothing to complain about. Again, the only person to blame is yourself. That's really what I want to emphasize today. So it's a time for reflection. Really look at yourself and what caused you to do the things that you did, because it's only just you. When you realize that it's just you and your mind, then you can really be liberated from it when you learn how to actually let go of those things from your mind. So I hope everybody's taking care out there. I want to start making more content about the Nexus. So the PulseChain Nexus, they do so much fantastic content. They're doing a movie, the Australian DeFi community. This has nothing to do with PulseChain. The Australian DeFi community has nothing to do with PulseChain. The only thing it has to do with PulseChain is the fact that there's people within PulseChain that are in it, but it's about the principles of DeFi and how we can help bring the principles of decentralized finance into Australia. We're lagging behind. Our economy is becoming so one-dimensional. The majority of our assets are held up in real estate. 60% of our asset wealth is held up in real estate, which is a non-productive asset. Decentralized finance, is it going to be a solution? I believe that there's a solution there. I believe that the banking system is not out for the people. It's not out for necessarily, it's out for its bottom line. It's out for its profit. And where does it get its most profit from? From mortgages. So what is it going to do? It's going to keep giving mortgages. So people trying to borrow money to create businesses, it's a lot harder than it is to borrow money to buy a house. And so our wealth is just stagnating in a non-productive area of society in Australia. And so the Australian DeFi community is really trying to bring about this consciousness of what's actually happening in Australia and what does DeFi bring to the table? What does it mean to protect yourself in DeFi? What does it mean to have your own sovereign wealth? What does it mean to use your private keys, store your wealth, and just spread the message of DeFi so that it becomes something that's embedded into the future rather than something that's been suppressed? Obviously, America now is embracing it, the world's embracing it, but Australia is very much lagging behind. So we want to try to be a voice that brings people together, that we can influence society in some way, shape, or form. We don't have the roadmap for how we're going to do that right now. We're just trying to gather the energy. So the next meetup is going to be the 23rd of January at the platform. So that's going to be in Perth. So the platform in Perth on Adelaide Terrace. So the tickets are $30. It's pretty much covering the cost of food. The last event the event we did in Brisbane, everybody paid for their food, and it just slowed the process down and it interrupted. So we're just going to order the food and we're going to have it as part of the event and just make it all seamless and flowing well. So that one should be amazing. Bring your friends, bring your family. It's only $30. It's like super cheap. You can pay in crypto as well. I'll leave the link for that below. So anyway, I'll leave it with you. It'll be great to hear from you guys. How's everybody doing out there? Please leave some comments. That's where I get my energy from all of this. When I get comments, it spurs me on to do more. So leave some comments below. How are you guys doing out there? How are you girls doing out there? Is anyone suffering? I want to hear you. I want to help you. Let's all keep working together. Let's just now keep nurturing this environment of working together to win together, because we can't fight against the greed and the whales. But what we can do is we can gather our strength together and just keep this core growing and getting stronger and stronger and stronger and nurturing that and building around that. Because I do believe that I'm in the center of all of that. And I want to help everybody else come into that so that we can build that. Because for me, it's an inevitability. It's just going to take time. Thank you very much, everybody. Take care.